Hello, everyone. I'm Captain Logan, and look, at the last minute, it's Austin the Day Ghost.
How's it going?
I was gonna do this one all by my lonesome, and then Austin just happened to be around and was willing to jump on and help me out with this. So, Austin, I'm glad to have a friend to watch Watchmen with. Thanks for being here, man.
Well, I mean, who watches The Watchmen alone?
Yeah. Apparently, the answer now is us. We watched The Watchmen. So this is an odd project. Like, really, everything about this, I haven't looked at this at all yet. Of course, this is a consummate blind watch party. I've not looked at this yet. Austin's not looked at this. Austin was waiting until the second part comes out, which this is kind of a fortuitous time for us to do this because, and part of the reason I thought to go ahead and knock this out, the second part actually comes out on video tomorrow. Austin, I don't know how they do this anymore. I don't know if it's like streaming first and then physical comes out like it used to, because it used to be they do a digital drop for purchase, and then 2 weeks later you got the physical. But I don't know how they do it now.
I think it's still that, except it's maybe streaming the same time it goes to digital. I don't know.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah.
And then it doesn't even go to streaming here, so.
Well, it doesn't go to streaming at the same time because they wait a long time. Like they just put this out on Max like a few days ago.
Oh, okay. I just assumed that it was day and date.
No, it hasn't been.
Oh, okay. I figured like with this kind of thing, they're like, who cares? There's like six people still buying these movies.
Well, I think early on it used to be that or closer to that, but Zaslav showed up and made Max no fun at all. So I think that's where we're at with it now. But anyway, welcome everybody. Thanks for watching live. Thanks for watching after the fact. I know it's super late and this was totally impromptu. We didn't plan on this. I am technically on a brief hiatus right now, so not doing regular content this week. But missed you guys. Couldn't stay away. I really felt like streaming tonight, and I was like, well, what could we do? We could just show up and do a fun Q&A, hangout stream, kind of a special Captain Logan show. And then I remembered there's some of these animated things I haven't looked at yet, and if I'm gonna watch this, I might as well watch it with you guys and talk over it. I'm not. Maybe this will be great. I've not heard the best of things, and I know this is not a thing that people were super stoked and hyped about, but it might be more fun to watch and react to than even to just watch and do a review of, because as some of you guys, very few of you, might remember, the last time Austin and I did a review of some of these direct-to-video animated things, nobody showed up. Nobody cared.
People might care because it's Watchmen, and people care about Watchmen.
Well, which is precisely the only reason this was made. Is we just can't leave well enough alone. We can't stop adapting and making sequels and prequels to Watchmen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like this and Crisis would probably get more of an audience because Crisis also has that Conroy thing.
Yeah,
like
and
people were looking at that.
Yeah, and it ends up being kind of a completionist thing for me, because it seems like every time we do anything like an adaptation of Crisis, I end up talking about it. So I'm gonna have to do that. And same thing with Watchmen things. Although I still haven't done Doomsday Clock. Nobody do me a favor and request that, please, ever. I don't want to watch that, or I don't want to read any more of that. I have tried that 5 times. I cannot get past the second or third issue. I can't do it.
So have you already done all of Before Watchmen? I remember
I cherry picked. I hit bits of it as it was coming out. I've never gone back and reviewed all of it, and it would be kind of like amalgam if you tried to review it all together, because they're all separate miniseries, like separate stories.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, I remember now that you say that, you doing some of those, but I wasn't entirely sure.
Hi, Robert. He says Chapter 2 is going to be digital first, and Blu-ray is coming out in like a month. That is how they used to do it, except I think it was like I said, like 2 weeks.
Oh, and then he said the Blu-ray is actually coming out December 3rd. So that's not this week, then the week after.
Yeah. So that's not even 2 weeks this time. Okay, so they're all over the place with that. I kicked around going ahead and doing Crisis because all of the animated Crisis, not to be confused with CW Crisis, but that has been, which Austin and I have done together also, but all three of those are on HBO Max right now. They just recently uploaded the third one, and I thought about doing the first one of those tonight. But when and if I do that, I'm thinking about binging it and doing it all in one stream, which Austin, when I told him that, kind of shivered because I'm hearing nothing but horrible things about that. So,
yeah, with this I heard mostly like, with that I heard like universally terrible things.
It cannot be the worst thing we've blind live streamed though. Like I don't think it's possible. After
that's
Secret
true.
Wars, or not Secret Wars, Secret Invasion,
Secret Invasion,
stuff like that.
I don't think you ever brought up Secret Invasion without making that slip.
It's like the Daredevil Deadpool problem. Yeah. Well, at least I'm consistent in my mistakes. Okay, so Watchmen Chapter 1, which I'm going to split hairs, but it's an odd. I'm having the problem you were. I'm having a hard time stopping it and not accidentally seeing all the logos. It's an odd title because, and I know I'm always complaining about titles, but it's like they put out two movies, two halves, like we did with Dark Knight Returns, and Long Halloween, but it's Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Like, Watchmen is in 12 chapters. You know? Like, why say chapter? Just say part 1 and part 2. Why does it need a different word? It's always been part 1 and part 2 before. You know.
What if it was labeled as chapter 1 through 6 and then chapter 7 through 12?
That'd be great. And then they just show you at the top like when you're at the next one, or they have like story titles.
I mean, that would be cool.
They could have done that. I wouldn't be against it.
What if they had like little animated series, like Batman the Animated Series, like title cards where it's like chapter 2?
Oh, that'd be cool. See,
that'd be cool.
See, you're already rewriting it, and we haven't even watched it. We can't go down this rabbit hole of coming up with better things they should have done before we've watched a frame of it. Okay.
We'll just wait for Watchmen Chapter 3: The Black Freighter.
It'll be the second animated adaptation of Black Freighter.
No, this one will be live action.
That would be amazing. Anyway, sorry, this is too lengthy of a preamble for what this is. We'll go ahead and get into this. But this is a really odd, like I said, project in every way. 15 years, for the 15th anniversary of the live action film. And I don't know if they did that on purpose, but it seems like the only reason you would do this is to try to make something that is more faithful to the source material. Like, we've got the live-action movie, it got kind of close, but of course it changed the ending, and there's some reinterpretations of, like thematic ideas and stuff that fans of that material have had issues with. So the only reason to do it again, even in animation, is to just play it completely straight, go right off the page. And one of the only things I know about this is there's a little bit of, like, censorship with certain lines and things. So I know they didn't straight up do that.
Yeah, it's got the Dark Knight Returns thing, because I complained about that a little bit when we did that rewind.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I stand by that, so I would have that with this too. But we'll see.
Well, we'll see how it is. Austin, are you excited?
I'm nervous. I hope it's good. It's not like I'm nervous that this is going to be awful. I'm cautious. I don't want to be excited.
Yeah. Well, is it one of those things that you wish you could be more excited about because you're not the biggest
100%.
fan of what he did, or what I'm sorry, give me a second. I don't know if I can.
What Snyder did?
Yeah, sorry. For a second, I didn't know if I could still hear you because I changed my audio settings. But we're good anyway. But yeah, like, maybe you'd want to be excited about this because Snyder could have adapted it closer, and so there's a chance at a better adaptation still.
No, I remember when they announced this, I was like, "This is potentially really great," and everyone was like, "Well, we already have Watchmen. Why do we need it again?" And I'm like, "Because we didn't get it right.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was gonna say is I'm kind of in both camps on that. Where on the one hand I'm like, well, I really liked the one big Watchmen adaptation we had, and on the other hand, yeah, I've gone back to that more recently. It doesn't hold up as well as I remembered it, and I mean, I still really like that material overall, but I'm having that thing where I'm like, how much of it is based in memories and nostalgia at this point? There definitely is a better, closer adaptation you could make of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it is also still in its way unfilmable, but we're filming it anyway. I mean, I've said that forever. I still stand by that.
I mean, in animation, I feel like it's probably easier to just do it straight.
That's true too. Yeah. Except it is still so much about the medium of comics.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Very
well,
true.
let's do it. Let's watch it. Here we go. Enough of all of this rambling. Let's now watch it and do more rambling. If you want to brace yourself, brace for impact. If you want to watch it with us, Robert says at least John Wick had 4 chapters. Yeah, exactly. The chapter thing is a little bit better with that as they make more of them.
I'm telling you, though, we're getting chapter 3, the Black Freighter, so we'll have 3 chapters.
Hi, Tyler. Good to see you too, man. All right. So if you want to watch it with us, like I said, it is currently on Max. And maybe you bought it. You can watch it on disc with us. Get it at timestamp 0. Get ready to press play when I say now. Austin, I'm really behind on my collecting with these movies. Because they just haven't been that good lately, so I've not been in a hurry to buy them. So I'm kind of waiting until, I don't know, they get cheaper. I just get in a place where I really want to catch up on them, and then I just buy a bunch all at once.
Yeah, for like a Black Friday sale where they're like, we'll pay you to, we don't want these to go in a landfill. Here's $5, take it.
Bring your dump truck, fill it up. All right. We encourage you to watch this along with us because, again, as always with these, this is a watch party. It's a blind watch. Not going to be a whole lot of analysis here because we've not seen this before. So we will talk over it as much as we can, but we also have to pay attention and watch it. We are very familiar with the story, though, so unless it just like really massively deviates, we're going to be pretty familiar with this material.
Unless it goes like full injustice, we should at least have like...
There's a part of me that if it's bad, I kind of hope it does that. Like, if it's a train wreck, I want it to be an honest-to-God train wreck. I want it to go off.
I mean, it would be more interesting to watch.
I want, like, Ozymandias to, like, be heralded king of the world at the end, and for, or no, like, I want Rorschach to survive. I want him to just go to the nines with it.
Rorschach kills Dr. Manhattan. They reverse
the movie ends with Ozymandias reading Rorschach's journal on television.
Oh no. I mean, I think the thing that I'm kind of nervous about is I just don't want it to be boring. Like, if it's bad, be bad. I'm worried it's going to be boring and just kind of nothing.
Yeah. What my worry is she's going to feel like the motion comic again.
Which I've never seen, so at least I won't have that.
That thing's interesting because it's one man doing all the voices.
It is interesting.
If memory serves, I mean, it's been a long time, but I think it was like a guy doing even like the female voices. And like, yeah, he does the best job he can, but it's a little distracting. To be honest,
I hope it's like a guy with like a very distinct voice too. It's like you got Tony Todd to voice every character.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think it was like a British guy.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway, let's go ahead and watch this. Everybody, please press play. Oh, give me a second. I'm sorry. Let me bring up my clock. My doomsday clock.
Your doomsday clock, yeah.
It would have been a mistake to not say that.
We're 4 minutes to midnight.
Yeah, what is their Nixon going to sound like?
I'm going to be sad if there is no Nixon. We got Reagan in...
oh, there's got to be a Nixon.
Well,
I mean, it's still alternate 1985, so it'd be really strange if they didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know? God, this Nixon voice is terrible, and I can't believe I voted for that prick 5 times. Okay, here we go. Everybody, please press play right now. All right, brace for impact. Everybody into the pool. Wait a minute. Why is there a Paramount logo?
Apparently there's like a rights thing with Watchmen where like Paramount has to be involved with a Watchmen adaptation? Because I remember asking the same thing when they announced it. Because it had the Paramount logo.
Odd. So there was a chance this could have gone to Paramount Plus and not Max.
That would be awesome. Because from the trailer, I thought the animation looked pretty cool, and I wondered if Paramount being involved maybe gave them a little bit more money.
Oh, Katie Sackhoff is in this.
Yeah, she's Silk Spectre.
Is she Silk Spectre? Crazy.
The only two casting choices I know from this are that, and I think Troy Baker is Ozymandias.
Oh, that's an odd choice. I would have thought him for Rorschach.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have thought. Interesting.
Well, Troy Baker does voices. I mean,
yeah, no, I know. He's in everything.
But I'm just saying that he will modulate. He'll come up with it. He'll do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Troy Baker is one of those actors I think is so in everything that I find him distracting a lot of the time.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. But, I'm just surprised by that casting.
Yeah.
So they're kind of just giving us some straight up comic panels,
right? So.
And Dave Gibbons is always a consulting producer.
Alan Moore is never.
This time they just called him up and said, "Are you okay if we adapt Watchmen again? Yeah, do I get paid?" Sure.
And then they called Alan Moore and he was like,
"Oh, I forgot. That was the one
JMS
thing that made me kind of raise an eyebrow with this, and I was a little bit more curious, is that JMS was involved."
Yeah. No, same here, and I actually forgot about it until right this second. But I had the same thing when that was in it.
That choice makes you think that they at least kind of cared to sort of get it right just because they got, a writer. You know?
I mean, yeah, that's better than not having a writer.
But you don't need a guy like JMS to adapt Watchmen, because all you have to do is, basically lift the right dialogue and act the right dialogue. You know what I mean?
Oh, look, we even have chapter 1. We can have the rest of the 6.
No, that's nice. Okay, so I know I'm in. I don't know if I want to say the minority, but I know for our circles, our friends, most people don't agree with me on this. I love Jackie Earle Haley, and
most people do.
I'll never back down on that.
Yeah.
Most people I know think the voice is silly and they don't love his performance. That made me fall in love with that guy as an actor, and it's a lot of people are like, that's just not the voice I had in my head. I don't know what voice I had in my head. I was open to whatever, and it worked for me. This sounds like somebody doing something too close to that. I would have moved away from it and tried something kind of different. Except he's talking too fast.
No, I had that from the trailer. I was like, oh, no. Don't do that. I feel like the Rorschach voice, because I'm not a fan of Rorschach's voice, but I like Jackie Earle Haley as an actor. It's the same thing as the Bale Batman voice. It's too over the top, and I just don't picture them walking around and going.
Can they win me over on this animation? Is it even possible?
I don't know.
Because immediately I do not like what this looks like.
That's fair. I don't dislike this. I think it looks better than a lot of them have, but could you do better? I mean, yeah.
I think the frame rate is kind of odd. It's going to take
a little slow.
Well, it's almost like they're doing that intentionally to make it feel more like you're reading a comic book, and I'm like, I mean, I could pick up a comic book. I don't know. I think the problem is that I did see that motion comic back in the day, and it moves too much like a motion comic.
Yeah. Do you think this should have been 2D animated?
Yes.
This is what? No, it's not their first 3D. Because Super Sons is.
Does this count as 3? Is this technically 3D animated?
I think it is. Yeah.
I'm gonna call it 2.5.
2.5. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I like some of the lighting effects and stuff. The color choices are nice. It doesn't look lazy or anything. I'm just not in love with the way it moves. You know what the problem is? It feels like, and we just had this. a couple weeks ago when we did the commentary for Batman Ninja. It just looks like video game cutscenes, except okay, you know what it is. You know why it's bothering me.
What's
It's
that?
a Telltale game.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a step down from a Telltale, but not far off from
Yeah.
that.
I
Now
think
that you say that,
I think it looks identical to a Telltale game.
I think the animation's a little lower than Telltale, but it's close.
Well, the end is nigh. We just make Telltale games now for our animated movies, Austin. And that's
Don't
not
talk about-
knocking the Telltale games. Like for those kind of games, that's great. But I don't want to look at that for a movie.
Yeah, but that means
And I guess only
Rorschach-
because I
yeah.
associate it with that. Like now I'm back to wanting to make the choices myself.
Well, you just have to do ... so I don't have to listen to Rorschach.
Yeah, that cop will remember that.
Have you ever seen the screen test for the David Hayter Watchmen?
I'm sorry, who's?
David Hayter, the guy who wrote X2.
Oh yeah, I'm missing what you're talking about right now. He screen tested for what now?
No, like they did a screen test for his version of Watchmen when he was supposed to make that.
Oh, I forgot all about that, Austin.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
No,
Sorry,
I'm not.
maybe
No,
we
I don't
should've-
think I have.
I
Oh,
just
wait a
wanted-
minute. God, it's all coming back to me now. Yeah, I think we talked about it a year or two ago, maybe.
Possibly. I just wondered because I really like that voice for Rorschach, and I
Because
find
yes, I had not seen
they're
that,
kinda
and
mixed
then
on that too.
and then I finally found out about it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, I forgot all about that. That even happened. I
No,
forgot
it's
that was
o- it's
Hater. I forgot
okay.
all of that.
No, because that's one of those things where it's a very different voice for Rorschach, so I feel like people are kind of mixed on it, but I've always really liked it.
They should have just brought Jackie Haley back, and he was the only person that came back.
I mean, at this point, if you're just going to do Diet Jackie Earle Haley, who's already kind of Diet Bale Batman.
Yeah, my irritation with this voice is less what it sounds like and more that I keep feeling like we're hearing it in 1.5 speed.
So instead of...
I think it's also entirely possible that the performance is indeed sped up. I think that's possible.
I hope so. They realized the movie was too long.
Well, I mean, so far it's Watchmen, Austin.
Yeah, it's not like it's not really like amazing or bad. Like it is. It's Watchmen.
We're doing this again.
Here we go again. Do you think we'll keep the death of Hollis Mason, or will that get cut again? Oh, that's right, Robert. I completely forgot that that was something that I had. So Jeffrey Combs is Moloch. I wish he was Rorschach. I would hear him as that way more than this.
Well, especially because he
'Cause he got to play
voiced
the
the question.
Mhm. Which isn't even something I thought of when I first had that thought. But you're
Yeah,
right.
they cast him as Moloch in this. That's weird.
Yeah.
Because it also would have been really easy to just get the movie Moloch back again. Because I think he also does voice work.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't even know who that is.
That is, why is his name not coming to me right? He's one of my favorite actors. Why are there futuristic-looking cars?
I mean, Watchmen is.
Does
supposed to be,
Watchmen
like,
sort
more
of have that?
I can't remember what the cars because it's been a while since I read the book. But one thing we always forget is Watchmen is like a little futury.
Yeah, and
Because
that's
of
supposed to
the
be because
Dr.
of
Manhattan
Vight's
effect.
technology, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the things like immediately with the world building of the HBO show, I was like, you guys don't get it though.
Yeah, no, that's right. And there's the Black Freighter covers.
There's Black Freighter, yeah. There's chapter 3.
But yeah, it's the actor that's in my favorite TNG episode, which is Matter of Time, the guy that plays Berlinghoff Rasmussen.
Oh, okay.
And he was God, what is that thing called? Nothing's coming to me right now. I'm trying to watch this movie.
I will remember that.
I'll think of it. Oh, there's Rorschach. He's eating his beans. He's eating his 2.5 beans.
Oh, Daniel, I'm eating beans.
2.5 D beans. I feel like they're Night Owl.
About the 2.5 thing, but I
yeah,
kind of hear it in places now. That
Matt Frewer, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's also in one of the best Batman animated series episodes is Sid the Squid, which Robert also mentioned.
Yeah.
The Death of Batman episode.
Who's maybe referenced in the Penguin? I don't know. That's something I would want to ask him about.
That's entirely possible.
Mm-hmm. There's like some animated series references in that show. I don't know.
Yeah, thanks, guy. I can't believe I couldn't think of Matt Frewer's name right then. I am probably too tired to do this today, but here I am anyway. Max Headroom. That's the big thing Matt Frewer is known for. It finally just came to me. He's Max Headroom. So I don't know if you'll agree with this, Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it was just like the kind of impressionable place I was in when the movie came out, and it was shortly after I read the original material. But that movie had what's up?
No, just that line reading in this Rorschach voice is weird. Where it's like, "Go command." What are we doing, guys?
Okay, no, I just turned it up. That voice is getting sillier and sillier. How's all this Mason doing?
I like this Dan Dreiberg so far, though.
Yeah, but I feel like he also sounds pretty close to the movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know who he sounds like?
Only an observation.
So this Rorschach is a Muppet, okay?
No, he's 100% a Muppet.
He's a Muppet. He sounds like Dr. Teeth from the Electric Mayhem. That's what he is. This is Rorschach a la Dr. Teeth. Which automatically makes it the best Rorschach. You quit.
I think what makes it funnier is the contrast to them. So it's like, whatever happened to those days? You quit.
Yeah, they don't even sound like they're in the same room having the same conversation. But no, what I was gonna say is, I was just deeply taken in by the atmosphere and the style of that movie, and this, of course, is gonna either not have that at all or kind of carve out its own. Mm-hmm. And the big thing I'm missing, and it's impossible not to directly compare them because seeing these things moving as opposed to just looking at it in the book, that's all of that is just playing in my brain again. I can't watch these characters moving and saying some of this dialogue and not think of that movie. There's no soundtrack here. Like, that's the biggest.
You know what?
The biggest thing I'm missing right now is there's just no atmospheric score or soundtrack or anything. It's like it's like kind of nothing.
You're right. It's just like just not even ambience, just nothing.
I'm sure there's a little bit of ambience, and some of it is my audio's low enough so we can talk over it. But
yeah, that could be it for me too. Like, it's just, if there is music, it's really low. I can kind of hear some ambience now.
But it's obviously not a big part of this production.
No. You're right, that is wonky.
And like or hate some of the choices they made with incidental music in that movie, it had a sound, like it had a feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all of a piece.
You don't have to like it, but that's a lot of what made that what it was. Ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah, we're finally doing some of the colors of the book. That was something I was thinking in that earlier day shot where I was like, we're kind of missing some of the stylized colors.
By the way, Austin and I are finally going to do the commentary project commentary for Snyder's Watchmen. Hopefully early next year. That's what we're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll tackle the book like we did for Dark Knight Returns. Is the plan so far?
And obviously, eventually, we'll have to do this in the commentary project, which will probably just be us having another conversation about the book.
Yeah, absolutely.
And making fun of Dr. Teeth and the electric Rorschach. He's not intimidating. He's a Muppet.
Yeah.
We're watching Sesame Street right now. This is amazing.
A big bird died on Sesame Street today.
That's the best. Robert put in a $5 super chat. Thanks, man. He says, do you guys think Gunn keeps this DC animated movie line going for DC Studios? Watchmen Chapter 2 is the last one in this line we know is coming out. They just announced another...
I don't think it's official yet, but there is talk right now. I think it was like some production thing kind of leaked out that they're looking for people for a 3-part Nightfall.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I could see anything happening with this.
But I don't know if that's this line or if that goes to, direct to Max. Like, it's possible that line ends, but they still do some adaptations of things that are technically not that line.
We also know they wanted to do Kingdom Come, and Gunn said no. So who knows?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone at this point would really shed a tear, though, if this line gets shut down.
No. I mean, I'm not gonna mind. It's fewer mediocre things I have to buy. I'm sad to say, but most of it's been kind of mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
This so far feels relatively faithful and like a thing they maybe wanted to make. It's not special and carving out its own thing. It's just, here's Watchmen in case you don't like to read comics, which is respectable. I respect that.
You think it's kind of year one where like it's just, here's the book.
It's so far it seems less clunky and more elegant than that.
For sure. Yeah, I was just wondering.
Because with year one, and we're only, we're talking over this and we're only like not even 20 minutes in. But by this point in year one, I felt like it was just like horribly slowly paced. And if I hadn't read the book, I would not want to keep looking at it. You know what I mean? Like if that was the first time I looked at it. This I might be intrigued enough by the story.
Well, in this I would say is maybe easier to do in this style than year one, just because year one I feel like you have to format a bit differently.
Yeah, you do. No, ironically, it's actually easier to straight adapt this to this medium, even though this is supposed to be the unfilmable graphic novel.
So he's clothed here, but one of the big things I'm interested in is
how the
Dr. Manhattan
happens?
No, is Dr. Manhattan going to be censored?
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's that question too.
No, I didn't even think about that scene, but you're right, I guess.
Yeah, how explicit is this movie willing to go? It's been a while since I've read Watchmen, Austin, so I haven't immediately noticed anything we've skipped over yet. But given that this isn't, even with the 2 parts, it's not going to get anywhere close to the length that Snyder's full Ultimate Cut was, they have to cut scenes. There's no way it's all here. And so your question about, do they keep the death of Hollis Mason? Really good question, because Or do they keep that but cut something else that was in even the theatrical version of Snyder's Watchmen? I wonder about that.
I hope so. I'm not sure about this comedian voice. He definitely, to me, I think feels like who would voice him in like a Telltale game. And part of it, I think, is like I am having a little bit of what you're saying with the movie, where I think the comedian is like the one character Snyder really gets.
And was one of the better casting choices.
Oh yeah, he's wonderful.
He's kind of just perfect.
That and this is a voice. I'm trying to think of who this actor is, but like, this is a voice that pops up a lot.
He's a little too New York.
Well, yeah, I'd be fine with that as a choice.
Well, it's cartoonishly New York, though. Like,
I think for me, it's like the gravelly thing, more so than like the New Yorker.
Well, you know what he sounds like to me? He sounds like Jigsaw from Punisher Warzone.
Well, that's more what I want if you're gonna go over the top of it, because let him be like, "Hey, yo, I'm the comedian."
Hi, Jareth. Good to see you. Yeah, I was having Geekvolution withdrawal as well. It's been like 9 days since I did a stream. I'm like, I can't stay away. I gotta shoot something.
Are you saying it's been 1 week since we looked at you?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Dude, I just listened to that album yesterday.
Oh, crazy.
That's one of my favorite albums.
I don't think I've ever actually heard like the album. I don't know what other songs are on that.
That is Stunt. That's B&L's best record. Maroon is their second best record, and after that, they have some songs on some records that I like just fine.
Oh, okay. Well, they are the Canadian Nirvana.
But those are, yeah, they're also the Canadian They Might Be Giants, really. Except way more popular than that. They're like mainstream radio They Might Be Giants.
So we just got past the censored homosexual line.
I personally don't like that they felt the need to do that.
Honestly, in animation, we're drawing too much attention, I think, to Walter Kovacs.
It is so hard to separate myself from the material, right? Where it's like, I've seen this story so many times, I know all the surprises. And so you want to put yourself in the mind of somebody that's never looked at it before and go, if I didn't know this was Walter Kovacs, would I put it together or actually be surprised when that's revealed later? And I think the way Snyder did it was really good and you wouldn't have known.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of neat that you get to see that actor's face a couple of times.
I do think Snyder does a really good job with that too.
And you have no idea that you're looking at Rorschach, who's the main character you've been with since the beginning. It's really cool.
Oh my God, Robert, you're right. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. The guy who voiced the comedian is one of the Arkham voices.
Yeah. I wouldn't have called it, but now I can't look away. I can't not hear that.
So I'm guessing we're not going to get Dr. Manhattan, just judging by the scenes so far.
Nope. I don't think so either. So occasionally, Rorschach's voice will be a little bit more reserved, and you can kind of see why he was cast. Mm-hmm. The problem is if he gets remotely angry, it gets very cheeseball.
Yeah, very, very true.
If he didn't do the grovelly thing and he kept it more in the back of his throat, it'd be all right. That's all we're going to talk about is just voices.
I mean, yeah, we've seen. Whoa, what is this? We're in the For Your Eyes Only poster.
Say, Herm. Where's the Herm? Where is it?
It's my beans.
Where's the Herm? He didn't do it. There it is.
There it is.
God, it took forever to get to the Herm.
We had to. We did like the wait for applause before it.
And then the other curious thing is, and like I don't want to belittle this in saying, like you were saying before, there's no reason to make this because we had the Snyder movie. But at the same time, I do have a little bit of a who is it for question in that I said a minute ago, I want to put myself in the shoes of people that have never looked at this material. Is there one person on the planet that would think to watch this that's not already familiar with Watchmen?
I mean, honestly, I have that question with like most of these, if not like the entire line.
It's like we're just looking at it because we like this material and we want to see it adapted well, but the main reason this kind of thing should exist is to deliver it to an audience that's not into the medium of comic books.
Mm-hmm. But those people aren't watching these movies, like,
and certainly not anymore. Like there was a time where there was a subset of superhero fans that did look at these that didn't read comics. I think that those days are behind us.
Yeah, and I would say it's more so like kids who grew up with like the Bruce Timm universe and stuff like that. Like outside of that, like I don't know if there's really a lot of people that are like, oh, like I casually like superheroes. I'm gonna pick up this animated movie. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I've known some people more like around your age, Austin, that are like obsessed with characters that I'll never understand, like Red Hood and things like that. That like ostensibly like comics, but very clearly don't read them, but somehow know about some of these characters, and they would watch these things. But I don't think that happens as much now.
You know what? Now that you say that, I did see that a lot in high school with like Under the Red Hood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right.
Okay, great. How is it so far? I'm gonna go with a straight fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Just, like indifferent, I guess. It's fine. Robert Wilde says Adrian Barbeau is the original Silk Spectre in this. That is a good choice.
Yeah.
That's cool. And I mean, like with Katie Sackhoff, I also think we have a better casting choice than the Snyder movie.
But man, I still want, even though I don't know how you would do an interactive Watchmen where you get to make different choices, I want to be playing this and making choices right now.
Yeah.
Because it feels too much like a Telltale game.
There's like the words pop up and it's like, let comedian kill this woman.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the place where it stops for a second and I choose what the comedian says.
Then at the end of the movie, it's going to be like 91% of players let the comedian kill this woman. It's the frickin' bet!
I will say a lot of the framing in this is pretty consistent with the panels in the comic, which I respect a lot. So far what I'm noticing, Austin, is the big difference between this and Snyder's movie, and you won't be surprised that I'm saying this, Snyder is a lot more interested in atmosphere and feel and tone and badassery than he is in the actual like themes and ideas and characterizations of the material. But some of that stuff comes out well enough because he is taking a lot of it more or less off the page. And so what he'll do is leave certain things out so that he can pace it the way he wants to pace it and let it breathe a little bit. This goes, we're going to leave as much as humanly possible and just really rush it.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see how they handle Dr. Manhattan moving forward, because I have a feeling they're going to make the same mistake Snyder did. But I don't know yet.
In what way?
I don't think Snyder gets Dr. Manhattan like at all. Like he completely ruins his character arc. Where, like he comes back more like John and slowly loses his humanity.
Yeah.
Well, in the movie he pops up and he's just instantly like the Dr. Manhattan. And I'm kind of worried so far that we're doing that with him here, but we also haven't had anything early enough to really judge on that yet.
Yeah, well, I don't think we've gotten any of his flashback stuff yet.
No, and the ones we have been like far enough where I'm like, okay, he's at least on that trajectory. I'm just worried it's going to be like the same kind of one note. This is what his character is thing.
Yeah, well, the movie tries to spin his arc a lot more positive and less ominous than it is in the book.
Mm-hmm. Said Jetfall. That was a weird line delivery.
Tyler, I can't imagine someone who would choose to watch this over the Snyder movie or just reading the book. Or I at least can't imagine somebody being introduced to it in this way. I don't know how that would even happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and do you just walk away going like, that existed?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly can't imagine somebody that likes this material just watching this instead of the book unless the only comic they ever read was Watchmen and they tolerated the medium because they liked the movie so much and then the book so much, and then finally they went, thank God, now we've adapted it pretty well straight and I don't have to read anymore. That's the only way I can see somebody picking this over the book.
Well, you know how they would say it? They'd be like, I hate reading.
They'd say it like Dr. Teeth.
Yeah. I hope Rorschach lives in a trash can like Oscar the Grouch.
I hope he rides around in a hippie van like Dr. Teeth and starts singing Can You Picture That? I want to see Rorschach, like, stabbing thugs with shattered bottles going, Can you picture that?
I want to see Rorschach beat up Snuffleupagus for information.
Robert, I wish more of these movies were made to improve on the source material, like Under the Red Hood. And of course, that would not be the reason to make Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't mean to be obnoxious about it and be like, Watchmen is perfect. I love Watchmen. I don't know with that book much that I would intentionally change, but I do think it would be a little bit pretentious to go for somebody with this animation studio with the budget they have with these movies to go, yeah, I can make Watchmen better.
We've got $3. I can make Watchmen better. Immediately cast Jeffrey Combs in the wrong role.
Plus, EX, I don't know how to read.
I think you mean, I don't know how to read.
He also said maybe they just stumble upon it on Max. I guess that's possible. I'm a little out of touch with younger generations. It wouldn't occur to me that somebody might just be looking at Max like superhero stuff and go, I've heard of that. That sounds interesting. Or like, I knew of the Watchmen movie, wasn't allowed to watch it as a kid. That looks kind of interesting. Maybe I'll look at that.
Oh, come on now. Cut that line if you're not going to go all the way.
I missed it.
They just did the thing, where she gets the little comic that's like a little porn comic, and she's like, oh, it's disgusting that you have this. But they gave that line to just her seeing that poster. That poster's like not that distasteful. I mean,
yeah,
just have her look at the comic and just don't show it. And just imply that it's gross. Like, I don't know. It was like the tamest pinup poster of all time.
Well, that just feels a little bit revisionist. Where it's like in 1985, nobody would look at that and be like, "Oh my God, it's so risque."
You're sitting there fully clothed doing this.
Yeah, yeah, that's weird. Yeah, at least make it skimpy or something.
I mean, it's supposed to be skimpy because it's just her costume, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, but if that's what she's wearing all the time and people are used to seeing it, then you get desensitized. It's not going to feel very skimpy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have to be too revisionist, then pick different material. And I mean, they're not full on changing the story or what it's about or anything, but they're skirting around things that they're just worried.
Yeah.
Is it just they're worried it might offend people, or is it their own sensibilities? They just don't want to include that stuff.
They might also just not be allowed to go to certain places. Like, I can understand them not being able to do nudity, which is why I said, just don't show it.
Sure.
Because that way, what you're imagining is worse than what it would be if they showed it.
Sure, but the homosexuality line, that's got to be either we're afraid of offending somebody or we don't like that offends our own sensibilities.
Well, and I think I complained about this when we did the Rorschach book, maybe, but it's like one of the most misinterpreted lines in the book, I think, because people read it and they go, oh, he hates gay people. And I'm like, no, he hates sexuality in like any form. That's like the entire point of his backstory.
Yeah. Now, to be fair to those folks, I mean, obviously, homosexuality in general, a lot less accepted at that time. Mm-hmm. And in the literature, you're going to see a lot more of, like, that's a sin, it's not okay, it's, like more people are going to think about it that way. It's possible Rorschach has both. It's possible that he doesn't like homosexuality and also sees it as a sin. Like, that's possible.
That is true. That is true.
I don't know that is an especially religious character. We never really get into that.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume not, though.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people also act like he's super, like, walking around being like, I'm a right-wing guy, when one of his first lines in the book is, the whores and the politicians will look up and say, save me, and I'll whisper no, in a very Republican America.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I don't know. I'll get off my soapbox, I'm sorry.
No, that's a countercultural character.
At the very least, he's not, like, thinking about it that way.
Right, yeah, he's got his own code before it's right or left.
The way they shot that of him coming out of the fridge was really funny.
Yeah, and I mean, that is a good choice for Jeffrey Combs, but let him play two different characters. Do that. In fact, let him play Moloch and Rorschach, and let him talk to himself in the scene.
Let him be the only voice actor in this movie.
Yeah, do the thing the motion comic did, I'm pretty sure, and just let the whole thing be Jeffrey Combs.
I mean, he's going for it.
Well, yeah, it's because he's Jeffrey Combs.
It's Jeffrey Combs.
He doesn't phone anything in.
No.
I'm liking the red strobe here.
Yeah, it does look really good.
That's great.
I also like this kind of POV shot. Like, you can see his hands.
Yeah, that's cool. Sorry, you were like a second or two ahead of me.
Oh, the comedian looked like the villain of Tarzan there when he was yelling at Moloch.
Senior Sticks, why not play three characters? Play all the characters.
Exactly, just play all of them. All or nothing.
Jeffrey Combs is Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, out of the main cast, like, of people that he could play, he could definitely be a good comedian, a good night owl. He could probably do Dr. Manhattan.
He could do everybody.
Yeah, I know.
Jeffrey Combs as both Bernards.
Jeffrey Combs is the Watchmen.
Who Jeffrey Combs? Jeffrey Combs.
Oh no, Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs is polluting the city lake. What do? We call the Jeffrey Combs.
Is that in the book?
like end of that scene there.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
It's been so long. It's been a couple years since I've read it.
I thought the way Snyder's movie did it was more or less the way the book did, where he's laughing and he calls it a joke, and like this seems to almost suggest the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's like,
what I'm thinking.
He's freaking out, going, it's the whole thing is a joke, but it's not funny, and I don't get it. I don't think that's what he says in the book. I'd have to go back and look at that, but that's the first thing that feels like a drastic new interpretation to me.
Mm-hmm.
Robert says Saturday Morning Watchmen had better animation.
Genuinely the best adaptation of Watchmen.
It is,
and
yeah.
I'm not even joking. Yeah.
Well, look, John can give you cancer, and he turns into a car.
My favorite thing about that video is all the comments reminiscing about their favorite episodes. I don't know if you.
I
ever,
wish
like,
I'd pulled the book out to look at along with this, because it's going so well in sequence and not jumping around and stuff that I could follow it as we went.
Yeah,
I might
go grab it, but
I might. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to jump over here. I might pull it up digitally real quick just to see, just to find that scene, because I don't remember it reading like that.
And it might also, like, even if it is, maybe it's just the way it's read, like how it's like crazy's going. There's definitely no panel that's a POV shot of him like pulling Moloch in.
Yeah. But yeah, I need some time to process that, because that felt like the opposite of the point of that originally. I don't know if I'm right about that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's like they had the dialogue option and they picked the wrong one.
Yeah, exactly. I pushed the wrong button. I meant to press O, but I pressed X.
I meant to hit ellipses. Dang it.
Now, I said that the pacing in this is rushed, except for some of Rorschach's dialogue. It's more just that it moves at a quicker clip than the book feels, because it's so wordy, and than Snyder's movie does. Like, it's pretty efficient.
Wait, we're doing the Black Freighter now?
Yeah, that's weird.
Did they cut down that joke?
That we're doing any of that?
They cut roll on snares.
Yes, they roll on. That's a mistake. You don't want to cut that too far down.
That's like 2 seconds to your movie.
But I was gonna say, like, some of these scenes, I feel like are just, pretty economical in trying to squeeze everything in here. So it's less that we're rushing through them and more that we're cutting out as much extraneous as possible to still feel like we have decent movie pacing. It's kind of working okay. So I guess we're just... Oh no, we're doing more of this than I thought we were.
Yeah, are we just gonna do this in like 5 minutes?
It'd be really funny if they did the whole story right now, because it's supposed to parallel the story of this movie, which would mean that we would get to the end of it before the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm. This is a really strange choice. I don't know. So how much weirder is this sequence, though, if you're not familiar with the book?
That's what I was going to say, is we are officially into...
Don't have Walter Kovacs talk. Now we really know he's Rorschach.
No, don't give him dialogue.
What that can be?
No, I was going to say, this is officially supplemental material now. Anybody that would watch this in a vacuum would get to this place and be completely lost. Like, why am I suddenly having to listen to this comic book?
Yeah, and I like the Black Freighter, but like, when you only have so much time in an adaptation, I feel like it is like the first thing you cut.
Yeah, no, you have to. There's this temptation to keep absolutely everything because it's Watchmen and it's sacred and it's important and it's, one of the great works of not just comics but literature, like according to like major lists and things. And so when you adapt it, you're afraid to do too much to it. Or at least to not. I say that. I mean, there were liberties taken with Snyder. There's some liberties, I think, taken here, at least with censorship, if not the weird comedian thing. I've got to look that up because I'm really preoccupied by that.
Robert just dropped the line that he says in the book.
Oh, it is there.
But I think it's more so just tone and how it's presented. Oh my God, we're doing the Austin Powers thing with Dr. Manhattan. What are we doing?
So wait, really? They're just blocking
They're
body
like
parts?
having stuff in the foreground.
Oh no, that's not how you, that. No, just shoot from the waist up
silly.
if you're not gonna. Okay.
Yeah,
Robert,
but-
thanks for
yeah.
doing that so that I didn't have to go look for it. But like the fact that there's an exclamation point at the end of that sentence, Austin, tells me that line reading was not way out there.
Mhm. Like I said, I just think it's the way it's presented because like you have him like pulling the camera in and stuff. Like it's just they made like a very deliberate choice that maybe makes it feel different.
It's going to be really interesting when we get to the Snyder movie and we try to review Watchmen and that movie in the same week if we do that, because in the moment, having not looked at the book in a while, and having forgotten that happens, I think that's another place where I like Snyder's reinterpretation of it better.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I like the comedian in that scene, like, kind of laughing the way he does and having this, almost like coming out of the Matrix sort of experience with his worldview.
Mm-hmm. So from that last shot, I think, is it maybe weird with the cars because it's like there's like an element of like a Tesla thing kind of added to it.
Oh, good call.
I just wondered that because we had like a shot of them like recharging it.
Her voice isn't bad.
No.
Yeah, and Robert, when he says it in the movie, he's like slightly laughing when he says it's a joke. And the idea is before as the comedian, he looks at the world as like a playground and as a joke, and he can do whatever he wants to because he's a nihilist. And then the idea is the joke was on him all along, and he kind of gets the cosmic joke on him now. In the movie, I thought that's what it was in the book. I guess it's not.
Yeah, it's been so long.
I was not prepared to watch this, but I'm doing it anyway.
What is this talk show host guy's voice? Hello,
It's a little more game show hosty. Also, I'm going to assume Benny Anger is a stage name.
No, that's his real name.
I don't remember that guy's name. I'm sure that's comic book, but
We couldn't even get Conan to do it this time. I wish it was Conan.
yeah, I'm glad we didn't do that again. I don't like that in Dark Knight Returns.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. You're right. This is like moving at a clip. It feels weird. We're already here.
Yeah,
That one guy that she beat up kind of looked like.
it's like we gotta get it all
the...
represented. No, you have to know this material to watch this. I don't think your brain can process all of it. I'm sorry, Austin. What were you saying?
No, I just said the one guy in this fight had like sunglasses that looked like the mutant's visor.
Yeah, and then the Conan thing in Dark Knight Returns is bizarre because they still kept the character name, which was based on Letterman.
Letterman, yeah.
Why would you do that?
So in this, like with how kind of rushed it is, we've had Jenny Slater once in the background with no dialogue.
Yeah, I don't think you would even necessarily
know the
remember who that
connection.
character was or how she's related to Dr. Manhattan, and then retroactively you will when we get his flashback stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which is how the book reads. I mean, to be fair, when you get to that place in the book, you're kind of maybe having to backtrack a little bit and go, who was that character?
Possibly, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we have no setup of any of this. Like, it's just happening.
Yeah, but plenty of FaceTime with Walter Kovacs.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Says, I wonder what the cliffhanger will be.
So
that's one of the reasons I wanted to watch this, and and not wait until the second one, because there is not an obvious clear break.
Which is exactly what I thought, and then somebody spoiled that for me, and I was like, oh, okay. But I won't tell it, obviously.
Well, I think the halfway point, maybe in the book, actually is the flashback issue
With Dr. Manhattan?
with Dr. Manhattan. I may be wrong about that, but I could see leaving it there. Like I could see the introspective going backwards through time thing, and then ending with that.
Oh, and now we're back to the Black Freighter.
But considering the clip we're moving at, there's still 30 minutes left in this. I'm assuming we're gonna get well past that, but
With how fast this movie's moving, we're gonna be in the climax in like 5 minutes.
yeah, I'm kind of imagining this all being in one movie. It's like, what is Chapter 2, a sequel?
It's Doomsday Clock.
Watchmen Chapter 2, Doomsday Clock. We really are just putting Black Freighter in here.
That's so weird, like, especially with how rushed some of this stuff is. Like, we're sacrificing time for some of the setup to do this.
It's interesting. Oh, man, now that we're already the flashback stuff, but we're doing it.
But we're doing the Black
differently.
Freighter like narration
Paralleling with it, yeah. Are we still gonna do Dr. Manhattan's voiceover going backwards through time?
I assume so.
It would be very strange if we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember if the book gives us any Black Freighter overlaid with the actual story like that. If it doesn't, that's kind of a neat choice, but I'm still questioning even doing it at all.
Yeah, I don't think it does, because there's like a bookend thing that they do with the comic guys.
I didn't think it did either. This is having me question my grasp of reality, Austin.
Oh my god, is this gonna be Nixon?
Okay, great. Part 2 just adapts the HBO show.
Oh, I wish his voice was more cartoony.
Oh, their Nixon just seems like generic president, man.
Yeah, he talks too much like Rorschach.
Well, and it's in animation. You can make his face look like Nixon's face.
Yeah, well, like kind of does, but like he's old. Like the only thing is just the nose. So without the nose, that's not Nixon.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is he doesn't have a caricaturable enough face.
They should have just gotten the Billy West to do the Futurama voice.
Oh, here we go. This is going to be the voiceover stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks great.
It does. It looks cool.
Austin, I'm having mixed feelings watching this.
Yeah, I still just kind of feel indifferent.
Yeah, but there's moments where I'm like, you know what it kind of is.
What is it?
It's kind of sorry. It's
kind of.
It's kind of the Psycho remake. This is not for us. This is for the people making it. It's just this is a fun exercise. I don't know that it was necessarily worth making as a mass marketed thing, such as it was. At this point, calling these things mass marketed is maybe going a little too far.
The way we're doing Dr. Manhattan's voiceover, where like you can hear him counting down in the background, I feel like Space Oddity is about to start playing. 7, 6, 5. This is Major John. It's a reality.
Tell my wife I didn't mean to give her cancer.
Tell my wife I traded up. She knows.
Oh my god. Jareth, maybe they were overdoing Black Freighter because of him not being on in the theatrical version of the live action film.
That's the only thing I can think of. They're like, that was the big thing cut out last time, so we have to make room for it this time.
Yeah, but they put it back in the Ultimate Cut.
That is true. But I mean, there's like 8 people that have probably seen that.
I'm one of those 8. But what I liked about that, even though I didn't need Black Freighter in that, was it's a comic book, so it's animated. Like, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was very cutscene-y, the transition there. That was
Yes,
like right out of
it
the Ultimate
was.
Spider-Man game.
That's a very excellent put-upon German accent. Well done.
Son, it is over.
That was like if Christopher Walken was putting on a German accent.
I wish. It'd be great. It is May 12th, and the kids want to know whose t-shirt I wear.
Look, focus, Austin, okay?
I'm sorry. Gotta get back in the game.
You gotta get back into Watchmen here, okay?
I don't know. I feel like we're on Mars. We're watching Ziggy play guitar. I don't know. There's all these spiders up there.
Oh no, Austin is starting to look at reality too much like Dr. Manhattan. He's gonna start saying things like there's not any difference between a dead body and a living one.
I mean, there isn't really.
That's how Austin's gonna start viewing the universe. It's all about matter that cannot be created or destroyed.
There is no difference between a turned on TV and a turned off TV. So are we really watching this?
Yes, there is, you idiot.
Yeah, they're like objectively it.
One of them is playing content and one of them is off.
I mean, you can also just stare at it while it's off.
It's true. Actually, that's some rhetorical nonsense there, Austin.
Whoa. Our tenderness in relation to its violence.
Like, I guess it's neat to see some of these images finally translated to screen, but again, I could just pop open the comic and read it, too.
I like the, star, the way it's, spinning. That's neat.
Yeah, I will say this is... You brought up Year One earlier. So far, this is definitely better than that.
But it is more Year One than it is Dark Knight Returns.
It is. It is. But I do respect it more because there are some cool choices made in adapting it, particularly in transitions and stuff.
That is true. It has more of a pulse.
It feels less awkward because it's being adapted to this medium where it wishes it was still a comic book like Year One did, and more that just it needed to be in 3 parts. Just more that. That it doesn't feel like we've made still that Watchmen adaptation that doesn't require at least some knowledge of the original material. And the Snyder movie works that way on one level as just a cinematic theatrical experience, but you won't necessarily appreciate the complexities and intricacies of that story. It may not explode your brain philosophically the way the book does, so much as just the sensory overload of that as an atmospheric experience. But it at least gives you that.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
This is the opposite of that. This gives you all the material in too truncated of an amount of time, or at least a lot of it, of an amount of time, but doesn't have the panache of the movie.
Are you saying it's the adaptation of the Wikipedia page?
I mean, it's a little better than that. And I don't want to say there's no style
I wish Dr.
here,
Man hadn't looked like that for the rest of the movie.
but it is so derived from the book that most of what I would call like style and panache is what you already have with the book.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some stuff that's interesting in framing and in getting to see it move. But like I complained about earlier, it's not giving you enough of an audio-visual experience.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Woo! We gotta cheer for that.
Maybe where they drew the line is it can't be moving?
That or you only get 2 seconds of it.
And they did that because it's a famous panel.
It would have been funny if she was holding up a French fry like the Simpsons movie, though.
That would have been funny. I don't know why they would do that, but...
Because they already kind of did that earlier in that sex scene where they were doing the Austin Powers thing.
Wow, I never realized this before, but Dr. Manhattan's black suit here just looks like Locutus of Borg. I like it very much.
Yeah, it does have that thing that I was saying earlier where he is just kind of popped up and he's emotionless immediately.
Yeah, and verdict is still out on that whole thing with me because I feel like when I first read the book, I read it a little bit closer to how Snyder interpreted it, and you didn't. So I don't know if this is a disagreement I would have with you even about the book. So I gotta reread it because it's been a few years.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it'll be interesting if I go back to it and I'm like, no, Austin, he just didn't have any emotion or personality from the beginning.
But like, if he doesn't have any of that, like, why would he want to trade up from his wife and stuff like that? Like, he's slowly losing that as the story goes on.
Well, Austin, the argument I would suggest is he still has a lot of like flawed humanity left in him. He just doesn't think he does.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair.
So like that would be kind of the paradox with him, or the kind of hypocrisy. And the worst thing about Dr. Manhattan, of course, is the hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's not the making heads explode or letting people kill pregnant women.
No, or the country relying on him too much as a nuclear deterrent.
Or the scheming. That's one of my favorite parts of that bit is where he's just like, "Are they scheming?"
Jareth, Watchmen feels like it hasn't been recognized outside of comic book fans, which is a shame. So it's interesting you say that because before it became the multimedia phenomenon with the Snyder movie, and such, I think it was appreciated more in literary circles. I mean, it seemed like the only book for the longest time, the only like comic graphic novel for the longest time, or like 1 out of 5 maybe, that people that like in literary circles that didn't read comics did talk about and appreciated. Like it was V for Vendetta, like some of Moore's work. There are a couple of other things like that.
Yeah, it's maybe dissipated a little bit over time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's been clouded by oversaturation and over-commercialization. And so now it feels like that. Now it feels like only comic fans appreciate it. But if you go back to the 80s and the 90s, I don't think that was the case.
But then I would be interested to see, like, what does the general audience think of Watchmen? Because, like, the movie wasn't especially beloved. Oh, there it is.
That's
again.
true.
And it didn't. I don't think it did super well at the box office either. But I could be wrong.
No, it didn't. It didn't. It kind of broke even.
Yeah, and the show, the HBO show, was like beloved by critics, kind of mixed from the audience, and didn't do well enough to get a second season.
Well, that's not what I read. I read that Lindelof just didn't want to do anymore, and HBO couldn't find anybody else that wanted to make it. Lindelof claimed they wanted to make more, and he wasn't interested.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the other way around, but it's been so long since I looked into that. Either way, I'm glad. Oh, this looks weird.
Yeah, it does.
That's just 3D. It's not even 2.5.
Jareth, and the Snyder film feels completely forgotten, especially in the mainstream.
When I think that also is probably hurt by where he moves forward with DC.
Well, that's true. Like, he's right in that in the comic world we can't get away from Watchmen, but I think that's just because DC sees it as a big asset they want to keep exploiting, and so they keep selling it to us. And so it's staying in front of our faces. Like I get a little detached from the rest of the non-comic world because I'm in the middle of this stuff.
I guess it would be interesting.
Watchmen has never been too far away from me because of what I do, but like I'm trying to look at the rest of the world and see if it's true that I like whether or not people remember that. You're right, like the movie didn't do that well, but I think a lot of people have remember that movie being sold to us and how big that trailer was. Like even if people didn't see it, if you were around then, that seemed like a big movie that year.
Possibly, but is that just to us?
Yeah, that's where I say I'm kind of detached. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I would love to know what the sales numbers look like for Watchmen, like year to year. Because obviously that's a book that can't go out of print.
Yeah, well, and comic stores famously couldn't keep it in stock when the trailer for that movie came out. Which is one of the other reasons it feels like a bigger deal than it was on the whole, probably. Because in our circles, it was huge.
Yeah. Rorschach, drink some water, man.
But part of the problem probably is just the budget that movie had. Like if they could have made it for cheaper. I mean, you could say that about anything, of course.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm just saying it probably had more. I'll look up the exact numbers, but it probably had more respectable numbers than it feels just because it's an expensive movie to make.
Possibly, here, and I can look it up right now too.
I'm doing that.
I thought it just didn't do super well, but it's been so long since I've looked into that.
But again, that's always going to be relative to your budget.
No, of course, but it did 187 million on a 130 to 150 million budget.
Yeah, no, you're right. Given how big that ad campaign was, it should have done double that. Should have done at least 3.
Hmm. Well, that's what I was thinking. Like it was low, but
No, I knew it broke even, but I couldn't remember what the break even was. So
one at that point, I would say they lost money on it.
yeah, considering how no, you're right. Considering how big that ad campaign was, and they merchandised the hell out of that. We're still doing Black Freighter. This is crazy.
Yep. No, it had a game. It had obviously different cuts and like the animated movie. You had like a ton of like toys and stuff.
Yeah, it had a really good figure line.
There was a lot. I had that game.
I did too. I still have 2 Rorschachs. I wanted to get the owl ship. They actually made an owl ship. It was really cool.
What I want to know is there a naked Dr. Manhattan figure?
I don't think they did that.
No, I doubt it too.
But there is a Rorschach with and without his mask, and I've got both variants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with Broken Record, I don't think you can watch this without knowing this material. Okay, that transition was weird because it made it look like Dan Dreiberg was saying the Black Freighter dialogue. Well, I don't think there's any way that you can read that line and it's not awkward.
It just burns
It
my
just
ass.
burns my ass.
No, there is one actor in this movie that would own that line if given it.
And that is Jeffrey Combs, who should have voiced everyone.
You would think it's Jeffrey Combs, but it actually isn't this
Oh,
time.
who is
he
it?
would struggle. Hey, babies!
It just burns my ass. Sometimes there he is again. He's everywhere. Sometimes the camera turns feel really kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of odd manufactured.
Are we at the fake assassination? Or no, that comes later, doesn't it?
That comes later.
Yeah.
I think right now we're in Black Freighter and just checking back in with characters we haven't seen in a while.
Hello, Vite. You've been in
And
one
there's
scene.
Ozymandias reading a newspaper. Oh no, we are there.
Yeah.
This should be the assassination.
We were
Yeah.
transitioning to this. I was like, surely that's what this scene is.
But yeah, see some of these camera turns. This is where it feels most like a video game cutscene.
Mm-hmm. It would be really funny if this were the cliffhanger. I mean, I guess it's not like bad place.
That's actually not a bad idea if you actually think you can convince someone that Vite is not the bad guy. But the problem again is no one's gonna watch this that doesn't know that already.
Well, I guess with the Kovacs thing, like at the end of the day, like yeah, no one's gonna watch this or should watch it without reading the book. So
how do you feel, Austin, about like adapting things but changing them enough where it gives fans of the thing like a different experience where you can tell like of either a slightly different story or like a pretty different story, kind of that Todd McFarlane logic of you don't want to do the exact same thing every time because some of the audience is going to be the same? Or do you think that some things are like too precious and untouchable, and if you're going to adapt them, you can't change, especially the ending and stuff? Can you do? It's okay to do it with Hush, but it's not okay to do it with Watchmen. Like, how do you feel about that?
So this is a cop out, I know, but like it depends, right?
Yeah.
And but it's such an it depends thing that I don't even know how exactly you draw that line.
Well, I know how to draw it. This is one of those rare places where I think where I'm on Ozymandias' side and the ends justify the means, Austin. I don't know until I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is coming from someone that liked in verdict will be out when we go back and do it again because I didn't have a great watch last time. But I've always liked the way Snyder changed the ending of Watchmen for his movie, and that's Watchmen. So like, I guess even with this material, I'm okay with it depending on what the ending is. Like, depending on how it's changed. But could you go as far as to have Ozymandias not be the person behind it all? Probably not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't like the ending to the movie, but I do like that it's not just New York in the movie. That is one change that I do like.
Yeah.
Even though it also kind of makes that ending worse. But then you also have to ask yourself, like, okay, say with Batman, Hush, are you maybe the wrong person to adapt it if you're going in saying, like, well, this book is bad, we have to completely change it? I don't know.
Well, and I don't know with Hush specifically.
And I haven't seen Hush, so I'm just guessing.
I don't know if that. Well, what I was gonna say is I don't know if that ending has changed because they think like I do that Hush is not a great story, or if it's because they know the audience for it are fans of that and they already know the ending, so you want it to still get to be a mystery. Like if you're adapting a mystery but your whole audience knows the ending, it's not a mystery anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the logic that I changed, Long Halloween to some degree. Like, it's still more or less the same answer at the end, but some of the details in the middle are different, so it makes you start questioning things. And then we also did that with Gotham by Gaslight, where that's a completely different... And Gotham by Gaslight is not a thing people think is bad.
Yeah. No, that is true,
So
too.
I think it's more creating a mystery for fans of a thing that was already a mystery. But with Watchmen...
Oh my god, it's this guy you've highlighted 30 times through the movie? What?
It's so shocking.
No.
Is that the end? I mean, that's not a bad place to do your cliffhanger. Oh, is that not the cliffhanger?
So that was my thought. That was what I was told, but I guess there's a little bit more.
Okay.
The cliffhanger is actually this part of the Black Freighter.
Well, the thing is, Kovacs is not supposed to be a gigantic revelation. Like the first time you read that book, you don't even notice the guy. It's on a second read that you pick up on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like oh, cool, like he's been in this book the whole time and I didn't know. You completely lose that by doing it this way.
Yeah, I agree with Robert. He says, I don't think the Hush animated movie fixes the story at all. It just tries to surprise people who have read the comic. Or at least, I don't entirely remember now, because it's been too long since I saw that. But I remember liking it more than I expected to and being okay with the Riddler thing. But I did think that there were a few things that it improved on. I just can't remember what they are now.
So this movie
So
has
I agree with him halfway.
This movie has so little music that we're just gonna have narration over the credits. I mean, I guess this is just their way to get in some of that written material.
Yeah, this was a choice. I guess this is a way in which it feels a little bit like it's still a comic or wishes it was a comic where it goes, we don't actually need score. I mean, not to say it has no score, but it kind of might as well not have any score.
This is, I mean, I guess that's a way to do it. To get in this under the hood stuff.
Yeah, this is a mixed bag. Like,
yeah, but yeah, as for your question, I don't know. I do feel like this.
Yeah.
It's something you kind of have to adapt straight, but
Okay, but why? Like, because it's beloved, because the story's too tight, because if you monkey with it too much,
I think it's just that. Like, it's just if you monkey with it too much, like, it's gonna unravel.
it's a tapestry, you're gonna pull the thread up, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm
You know,
actually shocked we're not doing here?
what's that?
I'm surprised that if we're gonna have just talking all the way through the closing credits, it
Mhm.
isn't just an excerpt from Under the Hood.
That is what it is.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, they like flashed that book. Like that's what this is supposed to be. I
Okay,
think.
so that's
But
funny.
no, well now we're shifting. We're
Because
like,
that seems like the obvious thing to do. Because I saw the book, but I thought it was just an interview on the radio.
mhm. No, I think we're just like rushing through some of that written material, and it's over the radio. But like
And
that's what
this
it's
is an
supposed to
interview
be.
with Slater.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. Well, and I think too, like with Gotham by Gaslight, I think part of it is also, a character like Batman. Like, there's so many interpretations and things you can do with it, and we're like always building on it. With Watchmen, they're all stand-ins. I'm like, don't give me more Watchmen. Just do a story with those actual characters. Just like do something with the Sentinels of Liberty. I don't know. I
Sure.
do have that with Watchmen, where it's like I don't know, like I don't need you to tell a Night Owl story. Just do a Blue Beetle story or The Question or Peacemaker.
Sure. And I don't have that as much because I was introduced to all of those ideas through these characters. Like, I didn't know who any of those characters were when I first read Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my eyes are all blurry and cross-eyed now because the entire time I was looking at that background, I couldn't decide if the blood was descending down or stationary.
I had that too,
and it was driving me
Are we
insane.
doing the James Bond thing?
Oh,
Well,
like
now
I
we have a
can't
trailer.
even look at anything anymore. Next time on Watchmen.
Whoa, did you see who that was in the fire there?
No, I didn't.
I was the Green Goblin.
Oh. Out am I?
That's a strange choice.
It would be really funny if they came back and did Doomsday Clock, though.
That'll be chapter 3.
Doomsday
Now
Clock.
that chapter 3 can't be the Black Freighter.
Chapter 1.
Oh, this just is chapter 2. Like, this is the whole thing.
Yeah, we're seeing the whole movie right now.
Why even make a chapter 2? You just adapted all of Watchmen into one movie.
Yeah, and since the only people that are going to watch it already know what happens, like,
Yeah,
we could have saved a lot of time. Oh, did you see the Day the Earth Stood Still poster? Is that in the book?
I missed that. No.
That was cool.
I mean, it's not like this is like that much faster paced than the rest of the movie.
I was going to say we could have saved a lot of time if we just watched 2 trailers that were like this.
They're seriously just gonna do all of Watchmen chapter 2 here, aren't they?
Well, they're probably not going to show us the Ozymandias reveal.
I don't know. We're starting to get there. Oh, we cut out the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. If they showed Rorschach exploding, I was gonna be like, yeah, I'm out. I'm not even gonna watch the second
That was
part.
an amazing Spider-Man 2 trailer. And like up until like the end where it started doing flashes of imagery, it was like all in sequence too. Baffling choice.
That was odd. Well, I mean, and disclaimer because we're always talking through these, so obviously, like, I didn't give this the super fair watch or anything, but like, my main complaints are just, I mean, maybe there's no way around this. It's a little superfluous for the reasons we talked about, right? Mm-hmm. But like, some of the voices are really odd and unintentionally comedic, and it's censoring a few things that I wish it would just play straight and leave in there and let people be offended and leave mean tweets if they're going to do that and move on.
I mean, 6 people are buying these anyways.
Yeah.
No one's tweeting about these movies.
Yeah, and if they are, no one's reading them. But there was a little less of that than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, they didn't leave more in than I thought they would, and it is odd that they're like dancing around the Dr. Manhattan nudity only to finally do it.
Yeah, no, we did get it. That is impressive.
I don't know what that was about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why not get ahead of it, sort of like in establishing tone, or I guess establishing, establishing nudity, like establishing what rated R things you're gonna like. It's sort of like getting an F-bomb in the first couple of minutes. Like, it's gonna be that kind of movie. Maybe do it once in his first scene, just so we know we're doing that. Like,
mm-hmm. Well, because he's naked in that scene. Like,
yeah.
We're dancing around it for so long.
And in the book, you do see the full frontal nudity. It would be very strange if you, again, no one will do this, but it would be very strange if you weren't familiar with this material, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's male nudity in this. All right.
Do you think, because you're right, like, this is just for people like us that know this really well, is it just that there's like an anticipation for it? With, like, you have the audience being like, oh man, when are we gonna get to see it? It's gonna come.
That's the way they turned this mystery that we already know the answer to into a mystery. The mystery of whether or not we'll see Dr. Manhattan naked. Oh my God, we did it. Now there's no reason to watch part 2. We know they did that. I'm not massively disliking it or anything. Like, it's Watchmen. I mean, it's pretty straight. It's moving at a clip, and it is supplemental material.
Yeah, like, I don't know that I would ever rewatch this, but like, it fits in that exact like middle area.
It is a step above a motion comic, which is maybe unfair because there are some shots I think look really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's odd because the people that made this do seem like they really wanted to make it, or at least they want to make sure that you think that they did, because Watchmen is so beloved, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That it's kind of screaming constantly, we have reverence for this material.
Yeah. I have a question for you, though.
Sure.
How long until this gets readapted? Or do we ever do that? Actually, I shouldn't say ever, because it'll be readapted eventually.
It will almost certainly be. If Gunn hadn't taken over DC, I would have said within the next 10 years you'll see another live adaptation of Watchmen, because when the mainstream DC superhero stuff isn't doing well, Warner's tends to like to go to whatever else they have that they can go to the drawing board for and throw out. That's the thing Marvel does that aside from Blade, or that's the thing, I'm sorry, DC does that aside from Blade, Marvel does not do as much of, just historically, where they like to go to the less mainstream, more like rated R, adult stuff. But then Gunn got it. And I don't think that's going to be a priority for Gunn.
No, but let's say he's still there in like 5-10 years. Is there maybe a chance you could have like some sort of Elseworld show or movie or something that readapts this? Possibly. Like, I don't think the Vertigo, like, I feel like V for Vendetta probably gets it before Watchmen does, but I don't know.
Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I think Gunn would possibly be concerned that it would look like an unnecessary affront to Snyder.
Mm-hmm. But that's why like in a couple of years. Like, in a couple of years, are you maybe not thinking about that if they're running on all cylinders?
Yeah,
like, obviously you don't start
possibly,
but
I also think maybe he would never do it just because he's friends with Snyder, and Snyder made that, and he wouldn't want to touch it.
No, it is possible too.
It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
And he might also have it in his mind that A, it was done before and it was done well enough, and why do it again? And B, just, Gunn might think that. Gunn might love that movie. I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea. We know that he likes V for Vendetta, so maybe it's not as likely for him to go to that, but I don't know.
And secondly, he might not see it as a likely moneymaker, considering it didn't do all that well the first time around, and superheroes are not the, definite, presumed cash cow they once were.
True, but there is also a lot of stuff that they are working on that, is even less so, I would say.
No, that's true, but but the strategy is going to be the Guardians thing, right? You got to remember, this is the guy that made Guardians nobody had ever heard of. Mm-hmm. Watchmen's already been attempted, and you have one story, and you don't get to, and he wouldn't, you don't get to make up something else and put it out on its own merits. Swamp Thing, you can do anything you want to with.
Yeah, but I was Swamp Thing, I think, is bigger. I was more so thinking about the Authority.
Sure, yeah.
If
this is the first thing that popped in my head of things that not everybody is familiar with, but yeah.
No, Swamp Thing is weirdly adapted.
Yeah, that's true.
No, and if that Sergeant Rock and Clayface movie, if those things are actually happening. I was more so thinking about stuff like that, but
yeah. But those are things like Blade that a lot of people won't have ever heard of, so you can put them out on their own merits.
And easier to do at a low budget.
Try to turn them into a property registered trademark. Watchmen's already got that.
Yeah. No, and they're easier to do it on a low budget. Watchmen is not.
Yeah, that's true too. You have to throw so much money at it.
To a degree. I mean, I guess it's not... You can probably do it for, less than $300 million. I mean, they did, but... It's not be a $50 million.
But that was $130 million 15 years ago.
Mm. Yeah, that's true too.
But anyway, well, we watched it.
You did a little mini GNN.
We did, yeah. It was all right. I don't know if we'll do one of these for the second one. I feel like we just watched it, so...
Yeah, exactly.
But I may come back at some point and do... I don't know if I'll do it all in one stream or not, but those Crisis movies, which, like we said, I've heard nothing but horrible things about.
Horrible, horrible things.
But there's a bunch of cameos and things in the third one, just like with CW. And that stuff I've not looked at, because I know at some point I'll watch it, so...
I've seen a couple of them. There's that
bunch of people
weird...
sent me the Kevin Conroy thing, and I've not watched it. I wanted to see it in sequence in the movie, so...
Yeah, well, and that's the one I was going to mention as being, weird and that it's, patched now.
Man, that sets a bizarre precedent. That had a video game thing. First of all, I don't understand how you make that mistake. How do you accidentally put the wrong voiceover in your movie?
They're 3 people watch these, especially by that point, the first 2 are bad. There's probably 1 person watching the third one.
I'd love to know what the max numbers are going to be on that.
It'll be 0.25 views. Not even a full view.
Our blind watch stream of Watchmen Part 1 was watched more than that was.
It was at least watched once. That's who watches the
and I made I'm sure plenty of mistakes through this. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have enough viewership for me to feel the need to patch this. So, I don't know why they had to patch that. Nobody was looking at it.
Yeah, I don't know. Although I guess that is a case where people were talking about it, but I mean it's really only because it's Kevin Conroy, right?
Yeah.
After he's gone. If he were still alive, no one would care.
Yep. That's true too. Except there would still be some geek news outlets that would bring it up just because it sets such a weird precedent.
Mm-hmm.
Of like
That's true, too.
now on digital we can fix things. Like I wonder if it showed up that way. What must have, right, on the physical release?
I think so. I think the physical release is just the wrong one, I would think.
I'm gonna be in more of a hurry to buy that now.
It's gonna be Batman's penis all over again. It's like you won't be able to get that version. If you have that version, it's gonna be worth way more money.
You say that, but like you said, 3 people watched that. Do you think they re-released it? I doubt that they did.
They probably did.
There's probably not another print of that. It's probably the only way you can get it. I don't need to rush out. It's the only way you can get it. And you can't tell me that that the value for that goes up that much.
No, but what you do is you charge more for it, and when people say, "What is this? I don't know what it is," and you're like, "Well, there's like." You just like completely make it up and lie. They don't know.
It's the special wrong voice edition.
Exactly. They fixed it right away.
Guys, thanks a lot for watching. Like I said, I'm technically on hiatus, but here I am streaming for a long time on a Monday. I'm not doing regular streams this week. I might come back for something random and impromptu later on in the week, but we'll be back in early December, so next week for the first couple of weeks we'll try to do more or less regular schedule, and then of course when we get closer to Christmas I'll have to take a little bit of time off again for travel and stuff, and then we'll be back for a clean slate in 2025. Austin and I are hoping to bring back more regular comic reviews. We're working on figuring that out. I'm still working on the Superhero Rewind movie, so and I'm going to be editing a lot, so I can't promise what exactly the schedule is going to look like early next year, but we're hoping to put that out by the middle of the year at least, if not earlier. I can't give a release date yet, but because I don't know. But we finished most of the location shooting.
That's amazing.
So that's exciting. Yeah, I got to shoot in an alleyway last night. That was fun.
But you know what the worst part about you being this far done in the movie is?
Well, it's the hypocrisy, really.
Yeah. Well, you're right. You're right. It is.
That's the worst part.
The second thing would be the scheming, but the third part would be that you've now seen this movie so late you can't do this Rorschach voice in the movie.
Oh man, I can't do my Dr. Teeth Rorschach?
Mm-hmm.
Man, could you picture that? Could you picture it? Anyway.
Picture that with a Kodak.
Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan, and this was Austin the Day Ghost.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for doing it with me, Austin. I'm glad I didn't have to do it by myself.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bye.